Can you dig it? My friends, this is gonna be the last episode we have of just character design for Warrick. Well, with his costumes, I mean. We're gonna finish rendering them all in this video. I may have said in the last video too, I've completely ditched making white versions of every single costume. For the first episode, I'm just going to... that first scene that he's supposed to be wearing his white costume. I'm just gonna go for it. Yeah, he'll be pretty cool. He'll show a little less emotion than he usually does. Which, I mean, it makes sense. Like, he's not gonna be doing these hero poses and these like jumping poses. He probably doesn't need it. If need be, I'll go back to it. I really don't want to work on the costume. Motivation. Hashtag I need motivation. Am I right? Am I right? Okay. This one actually, like, I stopped about 5 times when making his costume because the pose is very similar, except for the fact that his hand goes over his face. So I was like, oh, well, maybe one side of his arm can be the same, and the other side I'd have to do individually. Which, that's what I started out with my plan. This part I'm very ambivalent about, because you saw how, like, the hair has a little bit of wind, and I was like, okay, maybe this side needs to have a little wind, but then the other arm doesn't have any wind going through it. I might go back and fix it. I might. Wouldn't be happy about it. I mean, at least I don't have to deal with transparency. Okay, the biggest problem with the white costume is that there is transparency that you have to take account for. Like, I can't flatten that. And like... So here's the game plan. Once we're done with this costume stage, all those folders you see called clothes, those are gonna be flattened. If I were to, like, change something on the white layer that's flattened, I'd have to figure out how to change the opacity on my brush to 67% and paint with that. I can't paint over it twice, or else it's just painting the opacity over it again. So yeah. The opacity looks really cool. It's just kind of a pain. But luckily with the black costume, there's nothing that is transparent about it, so I can flatten that without any repercussions. That sounds good. Oh, I think I may have done a little bit better job with showing that there's wind here. Okay, it's slightly better. Yeah, always keep cognizant of, like, usually anime characters in a pose, like, they're super dynamic, everything's flying over. You want to make sure that they're flying logically. Yeah, and ignore the subliminal messaging, it's perfectly fine. Yeah. Yeah, this part stressed me out. This was, I think, the hardest part in the entire, like, costume making. Just trying to figure out how I was gonna do this. The good thing about doing art is, eventually you just keep trying things until something works. And there you go. It just has to look good at the end of the day. And, well, if it made sense, it would help a lot more too. Okay, right. After you've gotten your idea and all the background things solid, that's when you worry on just making it look good. But always make sure your story is solid. Actually, when I released my game for the first time, the artwork, okay. The Okay, let's say the third time, because the first time the artwork was pretty bad too. The third time, the artwork was actually okay, but the story still wasn't there. And I've gotten a couple of 3 out of 5s, maybe even a 1 out of 5. Goes to show you, story is important, don't neglect it. Or engagement. Engagement is the real word. You can have a game without a story and still have fun. Okay, by story I don't mean plot. I mean like there's like a universe there. It's not just sitting out in space. And this isn't an acid trip. Anyways. Okay, going back to this. Alright, the white transparency. I don't think I did this one correctly now that I'm looking back at it. See? Recording yourself! You can see your mistakes. Because I forgot to double the transparency there. Maybe it won't make a difference? I don't know. So this will be the last costume. Then we're moving on to the second final stage. The next stage will be shading and lighting. Alright, let's just go through kind of the basics of his poses. I'm not gonna go through every single one because that's like 30. Be sure to check through all your poses to make sure like the bodies are relatively the same size, the heads are basically the same size. Yeah, there you go. Alright. I'll see you later. Bye.